Hey, I'm Tad Frederick. Welcome back to Honest God. Hey, I want to talk today about hypocrisy. I've talked to the church and to people who attend church. I'm really not talking to you. I've got a little bit in here for you, but I'm talking to people who don't go to church, who want to know God, but they're not going to attend church because of the hypocrites that are there. That's one of the biggest things I've run into is when I talk to people, they say, yeah, I don't go to church because those people are just they're two-faced. They'll go to church and they'll praise Jesus on one time and then they'll run each other over in the parking lot on the way to McDonald's for after church dinner. Can't really say anything bad about that. That's pretty much an accurate portrayal. And if you attend church, now I'm talking to you, it's an accurate portrayal. Talk to anybody who works retail on a Sunday afternoon from 1 to 3 o'clock, and any of the waiters and waitresses, you'll pretty much get a culmination, if you want to be honest and allow them to be honest with you, that they can't stand after church crowd because they're rude and they're entitled. That's just the way the perception is of people who don't attend church, of people who do. So that's kind of a thing there that is a problem. It's a major problem. And as far as you who attend church, the only thing I have to say to you is don't judge people because they sin differently than you do. You're actually called to the people who are sinners. You're actually called to give the gospel to them. You're actually called to be an example to them. We get worried about whether we're offending our brother, yet the church and church attenders seem to be probably one of the biggest stumbling blocks to people to get to know God. It just is. Just trying to be honest. That's what the title of this thing is. But to you people who don't attend church but want to know God, you can't use that as an excuse. You know, nobody has been called to follow a person as far as a preacher or a group of people or say, hey, they're perfect. Nobody's perfect. Everybody falls. If you look at the Bible and you see the patriarchs, every one of them messed up. You know, we've got example after example. I mean, Noah got drunk as soon as he could build a vineyard. Abraham tried to pass his wife off as a sister so he wouldn't get killed, so that somebody could steal her from him. Moses wouldn't circumcise his son, and that almost cost him his life. Do we know exactly what happened there? No, but we know that God wasn't happy with him. And if you look at David, King David, he was a man after God's own heart, and look at his background. He wasn't a saint. He had a problem. He actually committed murder and adultery and tried to hide it. So, you know, those patriarchs, they weren't perfect either. We have examples upon examples of sinners who were used by God to serve him. So when you are attending church and you think that you've got it all together, you're not any greater than the patriarchs of the Bible, and they're there as examples for us to understand that we have been saved by grace, that we are all sinners, and it's only God that has saved us, and that is where we have that joy and that completion, not because we've done anything. And if you think you've done something, and you think you're righteous, and you think you're holy, and you think you're going to get dirty because you're going to go talk to somebody who doesn't know Jesus, you got the wrong religion, people. It's not the way to go. But for you people who want to know God, and you see the hypocrisy, please don't let those people get in the way of your relationship with God. The only example that we are called to follow is in Philippians, and that is to follow Christ and his example of humility. I mean, Christ wasn't somebody who just thought that he was going to be a God. He was God, and he became man, and he dropped from heaven, became man, became flesh, and not just a normal man, but he got treated like a criminal, and they killed him. And he died. He went into the grave for 3 days, and he was risen again. He's raised from the dead. That's our salvation. That's the example that we're supposed to follow, and that's the only example that we're supposed to follow according to Scripture. Somebody's going to throw up, Paul says, hey, you know what? Follow me as I follow Christ. Well, you're supposed to follow Paul as Paul follows Christ. He was just there as an example of how to follow Christ. He was telling you to follow Christ, not follow him. He's follow me as I follow Christ. The key word there is following Christ. That's your only excuse. So if you want to take Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and you want to call him a hypocrite, now you got a bigger problem than calling the church people hypocrites. But the key is that you have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. Not one that's built on other people, not one that's built on their example, but on the example of Christ. So, hypocrisy, yes, it's there. Is it an excuse? Absolutely not. Do you have a personal relationship with Christ, and that's what you should be focusing on? You should be focusing on your personal relationship with God through Jesus Christ as your example. That's the key. So if you want to know God and you want to pursue him through his word, I just want to let you know I'm here to be honest with you and to help you do that. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to give them to you. I'm here to open, honest, ready to give you what God says we're supposed to do. So I'm Tad Frederick. Been honest to God. Thank you very much.